Hey, welcome guys. I think I restarted this like 3 different times, so hopefully we get it right this time. My dogs keep going crazy in the background, so if they start barking again, I'll just sign off for a moment and hopefully be back. But each time I've had to restart the last 3 times. We are in Adobe InDesign Revealed, Creative Cloud by Chris Botello. It's our textbook, and we're working in Chapter 5, which is color. We'll be working with process colors. Process colors are CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And those are the colors that you mix to create a full color print job. Used in printing alone. RGB are the color mode that you work with when you're working on screen or with light. And then we also work with some spot colors in this chapter, which are pre-mixed inks, basically. You may have heard of Pantone colors. They're swatches, they're colors that are, again, pre-mixed, and they might not be so easy to create with the CMYK formula. So if they have a whole series of colors that you can buy with Pantone being one of the suppliers. And the nice thing about these spot colors is that you can pick out a swatch with a number and order that color on your print job and be sure that you understand or know the color that it's going to be, no matter whether or not you're in China or you're in the United States or you're in Mexico or in Holton, Michigan or San Francisco, California. So we're going to work with that as well, spot colors. And then we're also working with gradients, a series of gradated colors that makes some kind of nice appearance as well in this chapter. So, all right, first thing that we're going to do is work on page 5-9 or 5-8, and we're going to open 5-1, which I'm in the process of opening that now. It's going to give you a little message that says either update links or don't update links, and we're going to update them, and this is what you'll see. And I'm going to put some of these away, and we are going to do a file save as, and this is a Wahoo magazine cover, and I'm going to underscore my name. And then I'm going to display the swatches panel, which is right here. And we're going to verify that the color type text box displays process. Well, first of all, we're going to go to the swatches color options. We're going to do new color swatch. And then we're going to verify that the color type text box displays process, which it does. And then we're going to remove the checkbox that says name with color value. We're going to take that out, and we are going to type gold to name our swatch. And then we're going to type 0, 10, 90, and 0 in the cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So cyan is 0, hit the tab, 10 is magenta, hit the tab, 90 is yellow, hit the tab, and 0 is black, and hit the tab. And then we're going to click OK. And you'll see that that's in our swatches panel, the color that we just created. We're going to go back up here, and we're going to do another new color swatch. We're going to remove this checkbox. We're going to call this blue. And then we are going to fill in the formula 85, tab 10, tab 10, tab 0, and click OK. And you'll see that added to our swatches panel. Now we're going to go back up here and do another new color swatch, and we're going to call this pink. And we're going to go to 20 in the magenta box. and then everything else is going to be 0. I'm going to click up here and get that 0 as well, and then click OK. And you'll see that our swatches panel resembles figure 9 on page 5-8 in your textbook, or mine on the screen, gold, blue, and pink being the colors that we've just added. Now we're going to create a tint swatch and modify the original color swatch, one of the color swatches that we've just created. We're going to go to blue on the swatches panel. Click blue on the swatches panel. We're going to click the options down facing arrow, and then we're going to click new tint swatch. We're going to drag the tint slider to 25%. Actually, I'm just going to type it in. Hit tab and then click OK. And as shown in figure 10 or on my screen, we now have a new blue tint 25% tint swatch. Now we're going to double click the original blue swatch that we created on the swatches panel. So you want to go up here to blue, and we're going to go to new color swatch. We're going to call this green. We're going to drag the yellow slider to 100%. Then we're going to click OK. And actually that changed, that added a new one instead of changing this to blue. I'm having some issues with my double clicking method. It does not allow me to change that. But you'll see, if you see what I did, if you too, and I'm on a trackpad and this might be the problem, but if I try to double click, it will not give me the blue color swatch options. But if I just slightly click, it's probably a left click for, or a right click for a PC and a left click for a Mac. And I go down here to swatch options. That does bring up the blue swatch options. So now we're going to rename it by typing green, green in the swatch name. We're going to again drag the yellow swatch over to 100, and then we're going to click OK. Oh, of course, so let's go over here. All right, we're going to click and drag this to the garbage. Sorry, you guys. You can see that there are always issues no matter how much experience you have in this software. All right, so we're going to, again, call this green. We're going to pull the yellow slider over to, so it actually looks like green at 100% yellow, adding yellow, mixing yellow and blue. And then we're going to click OK. And you'll see that that changes that blue swatch to green. Finally did what I was supposed to do, and it works. And it also changes that blue 25% swatch that we created, the tint, it's now changed to green 25% as well. So we're going to go to File on the menu, and we are going to click Save. And we want to save our work. Be sure to save it at this step because we are going to revert back to this in just a moment. And I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and we're on page 5-10. We're going to use the color panel in this exercise. We want to verify that the that the fill button on the tools panel is activated. So you go down to the very bottom and you'll see at the very bottom of this there is the fill and the stroke. And to ensure that the fill button is activated, you just want to make sure that that's at the top or at the foreground in front of the stroke. Now we're going to click the selection tool if necessary, which I've already got mine, but that's where it is. Then we're going to click the cyan filled frame, which would be this frame, that surrounds the image on the page. Then we're going to display the color panel. And click the Color Panel Options button. Click CMYK. We're going to drag the magenta slider on the color panel to 50%. I'm just going to type it. And the fill color of the selected frame changes to purple. I don't know, that's not exactly purple, but I guess maybe because I didn't drag the cyan slider to 0 yet. So let's try that. Oh my goodness, that's more like, am I doing this right? Drag the magenta slider on the color panel to 50%, which we did. Drag the cyan slider to 50%, which I did not do. I have to learn to read a little bit more carefully here. Now it's close, but we're going to fill it in here, 50%, and there you go. Now it looks more like a lavender on my screen. When you create a new color on the color panel, it becomes the active fill or stroke color on the tools panel. Again, depending on which one is active. So if we'd had the stroke active, it would have become the active stroke color. We're going to drag the yellow slider to 100%. And we're going to drag the cyan slider to 0. Good, because I didn't really like that color. And the purple color that was previously in the frame is gone, and you'll see that there's no swatch for that color on the swatches panel. It's a very important thing to note, that violet or purple, whatever, is not there. Colors that you mix on the colors panel are not permanent. They're not automatically saved, and so if you want to save them, you have to take the next step and save those colors. So we're going to click the green area of the CMYK spectrum on the color panel. So we have to go back up here to color, click this green spectrum. We're going to drag the cyan slider to 70%. We're going to drag the magenta slider to 20%. We're going to drag the yellow and black sliders to 0%. And then we're going to drag the fill color from the tools panel into the swatches panel. So you want to make sure that you have your swatches panel up. And we're going to click and drag this, and you see that you get that little plus mark. And there it is added to the tools panel. Which I don't think it's adding it here, so I'm going to go back and redo that step, and I'll be right back with you. All right, now no matter how many times I tried to click and drag the fill color from the tools panel over to the swatches panel, it did not seem to work. Again, I'm going to click, drag, and drop. Well, of course, now it works. Alrighty, fine. So we created the color, and then ultimately what I ended up doing is just going from the color panel over, clicking and dragging that over to swatches, and that worked consistently. As I mentioned before, each time I clicked and dragged that from the toolbox, it did not work. So if you're having issues with that, just go to the color or the swatches panel, click and drag it and drop it, and you can see there's two cyan colors here, but this one's 70-20-00, which is what we just created. All right. So we've dragged the fill color from the tools panel into the swatches panel. The swatches panel should resemble mine on the screen or figure 13 in the textbook. Now we're going to drag the tint slider on the color panel to 45%. We're going to save the new color button as a swatch by dragging We're going to save the new color as a swatch by dragging the fill button from the top of the swatches panel to the bottom of the list. So again, here is the swatches panel. We're going to click, drag, and drop it at the bottom of the list, and there is the 20%. the 20% tint, or 44% tint, I guess it is. All right, now we're going to double click the darker blue swatch on the swatches panel. So you want the darker blue swatch on the swatches panel. Remember, we're going to go to swatch options. Is that what we wanted to do, really? Remember, I just did this. I think we did want to go to swatch options. We're going to remove the check mark. We're going to call this purple. We're going to drag the magenta slider to 100%. And then we're going to click OK. And you'll see again that the darker blue swatch becomes purple, and then the tint swatch that was based on that darker blue also becomes purple as well. We're going to go to File on the menu bar. We're going to revert, which means we're going to undo back to the last time we saved. And it's going to ask us if we're sure we really want to do that. We do. And then the next lesson we're going to be applying color, and I will be back in just a moment.